The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Arctic Fantasy. Get the $1,000 deposit match, sign up at Arctic Fantasy with the promo code SGPN. And welcome, everybody, to the Tennis Game Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Saturday, July 5th, around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm your host, Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. Time to get into the breakdown of the fourth round in Wimbledon. On the men's side, we're going to break down the matches taking place on Sunday and Monday. For that, though, a reminder, you can help support the show by leaving a like and subscribing to the YouTube channel and the video here. Also, a reminder, check out the actual podcast on Spotify or Apple. Don't forget to leave a rating and a review to help the show grow. So if you want the podcast audio format only, you can find that on Spotify or Apple. Don't forget to leave a rating and a review. And if you're on YouTube, first of all, hopefully you've enjoyed the content, and hopefully you've been hitting the like and subscribe button. But either way, hopefully you do enjoy the show. Plus, a reminder, check out the merch store on the SGPN website. We have a lot of great merch for the tennis show. We have some shirts, some sweatshirts, some mugs, different colors, very affordable and also very comfortable. So recommend getting yourself something there. And a reminder, we also have a lot of content on the SGPN platform. You can find all the podcasts for free, regardless of the actual show. So you can find the College Experience, the MLB Gambling Podcast, NBA Gambling Podcast, a Tennis Gambling Podcast, all on the SGPN feed. Check out the feed on Spotify and Apple. And don't forget to also check out the app on the App Store, free to download for SGPN. So you can get all of our picks and podcasts in one easy location. Check it out wherever you do get your podcasts. Anyway, starting off with the actual recap of what happened in the third round of Wimbledon. Overall, a great episode for us. Starting off with the lock and dog, had a nice sweep. For the lock, we had a two-pick parlay. We had Djokovic under half a tiebreak, parlayed with de Minaur money line against Holmgren at minus 130. Never in doubt, de Minaur did win in straight sets easily, and you saw Djokovic dominate. Once he got the break into the middle of that first set, he coasted and eventually did win in straight sets. So never in doubt, nice win there for the lock with the bankroll builder parlay. For the dog, nice win, bit of a sweat, but still got there. We had Fritz to win against Fekina, and we also had the both players win a set combo at plus 132. Fritz should have won in straight sets. He had not been broken in the entire match, serving for the match, and he got broken. And then Fekina eventually did win the tiebreak in the third set. Then Fritz killed him in the fourth. But either way, nice job by Fekina to fight on our behalf to help cash us the play here. So once again, Fritz to win, and both players won a set. Worked out as Fritz did win in four, and that cashed at plus 132. So once again, a very good overall episode, and we'll try to keep rolling here for the fourth round. Moving on to the actual recap, though, of the third round in a bit more detail. Starting off with the matches on Friday. For the most part, pretty straightforward. You had two three-set marathons. One was a continuation, though. One was the Fucsovics and Monfils match. That was a continuation, which she ended up winning in 5 sets. So that was not really a 5-setter on Friday. That was the 5th set only on Friday. But nice comeback there by Fucsovics. Didn't matter in the end as he lost to Shelton. I'll get to that in a second. Shelton beat Chikata in straight sets. Saw Fritz win in 4 against Fekina. Rublev won against Manarino. We thought he would. Saw Nori beat Bellucci in straight sets. You saw Thompson beat Darderi. So the guy who looked extremely injured a couple rounds ago is still alive. So it seems like his injuries were greatly exaggerated. But either way, nice job by Thompson to win in 4. You saw Majcik beat Rinderknech in 3 sets. Not surprising. Rinderknech had a couple of 5-set marathons, and it felt like he ran out of gas. Nice win there, though, by Majcik. Saw Jari beat Fonseca in 4 sets. Fonseca had a bunch of chances in that 4th set, and he just kept fumbling it. Jari served very well and eventually did win the tiebreak. So Fonseca had some chances, didn't work out, and eventually did lose in 4. Khachanov pulled off a massive comeback there in the 5th set against Borges as he was down 5-2 in the final set. Only one break, though. Borges choked. You saw Khachanov eventually get a lead in the mini breaker, or I should say in the super breaker, and he eventually did win that one 10-8. So nice job by Khachanov surviving. Rough loss, though, for Borges, who was serving for the match and choked. But either way, nice job by Khachanov to stay alive and to win in 5. Moving on, though, you saw Alcaraz beat Struff in 4. We did pick Struff to actually win a set, and we thought that there was some value on the team total overs here and the over in the match that got there, too. So overall, nice job by us here on the Friday card. Moving on to Saturday, though, you had, once again, a bunch of straightforward matches. Only 2 matches did not end in straight sets. Only one of them ended up not ending before a 5th set. So Caboli killed Mensik. Mensik should be a lot better on grass than he is, but Caboli, I think, is underrated. I think Caboli's a solid player. Mensik, though, we saw in the tune-up events on grass, seemed to be just not fully comfortable on the surface, and it felt like he mentally checked out. But nice job by Caboli winning the early match in straight sets. Only dropping 8 games in the process, though. A rough showing by Mensik on Saturday morning. You saw Sinner beat Martinez. Martinez was extremely injured, showed up with a shoulder issue, could not serve over about 95 miles an hour, and Sinner killed him as Sinner won in straight sets. I would say it's a letdown, but it really wasn't a letdown because everyone thought that Sinner would kill him anyway. But Martinez with a no serve had no chance, and you saw Sinner only drop 5 games in the entire match. Then you had Sonego, who ended up winning the marathon of the day against Nakashima, which we called, though. We had Sonego winning. We thought the wrong person was favored, thought that Sonego was the better player, and it felt like a marathon the entire way through, as each of the first 3 sets went to a breaker. 4 of the 5 sets went to a breaker. But you ended up seeing Sonego, after dropping the first set, win the final 3 tie breaks in route to the Super Breaker, which he coasted and won 10-3. So nice job by Sonego winning that one in 5. Dimitrov beat Offner in straight sets, not a surprise there. Dimitrov, when healthy, is much better than Offner, and he showed it as he ended up winning in a bagel with the final set breaker as he won 7-0. You saw de Minaur beat Holmgren. Not a surprise there. Holmgren played 4.5 hours against Makic. Felt like he kind of had nothing left in the tank, and de Minaur was the better player by a wide margin, so that helped cash us the lock parlay. I saw Cilic win, so he keeps the dream Cinderella, I'd say, turn the clock back run alive as he beat Munar in 4. Thought Cilic would win. The serve was good. Munar had a bunch of chances, though, and just could not convert on the big points. But Cilic used the forehand, used the serve, and just took control early in a lot of rallies en route to a nice 4-set win. Shelton beat Fusovics, who was off of the 5th set win against Monfils the day prior. But either way, point is Shelton coasted as he won in straight sets. And last but not least, Joker coasted against Kekmanovic because we know Joker is a great grass player. Kekmanovic, not so much. But either way, point is Joker got off to a slow start, then eventually coasted. Gave up a break, though, when he was double break up in the 3rd set. Didn't matter, as he eventually held in the 5-4 game, en route to winning in straight sets. So, for the most part, it's still been pretty chalky in terms of Alcaraz, Sinner, and Joker still being here. But you have seen some fun stories. For example, Cilic making it this far is definitely entertaining. We'll see what happens moving forward. But either way, it's been a pretty fun ride so far on the men's side for the event. A nice balance of star players staying alive and also some chaos. But either way, briefly looking at the actual quarters, just for a recap of what we had. First quarter, we took Sinner minus 270. Once again, pretty straightforward. He's still alive. No real shock there. Second quarter, Djokovic by himself. That looks really good right now because his quarter opened up with Draper and Bublik losing. Third quarter, we did lose Zverev and Medvedev. We do have Fritz at 550, so that is still alive as well. And for the fourth quarter, Alcaraz by himself at minus 350. He hasn't looked great, but he's been winning, so that's all that matters. Minus 350 there. Still can sweep the quarters. Not going to victory lap anything because 1, we have a couple rounds to go. 2, we went pure chalk, so not really worth much. But once again, it feels like Sinner, Alcaraz, and Joker are playing a different sport compared to the rest of the ATP Tour, and that's kind of what we're noticing here. Alcaraz has been vulnerable, but he's been winning. Sinner has been coasting. He has not dropped serve yet, I believe, in the first 3 rounds combined, and Joker looks great after dropping that random set to Mueller, which he should have won as he blew, I think it was 11 break points, and I think it was 5 or 6 set points. But either way, point is, all 3 main guys have looked dominant, or I should say 2 of the 3 have looked dominant. Alcaraz looked good enough. And it feels like nobody else is in their same vicinity. So we'll see what happens moving forward. You've had a pretty interesting quarter there in the third quarter with Zverev and Medvedev losing the first round. Fritz, though, is a massive favorite at the moment in the third quarter. We'll see what happens. But it feels like we are headed to Alcaraz, Sinner, and Joker being in the semis. I don't want to say it's a lock for those 3, but it feels that way. And then probably Fritz, but who knows, in the third quarter. Nothing else really add there. For the women's side, nothing else to add as well. I ended up seeing a pretty, I'd say, interesting development because you saw the defending champion and who ended up losing to Navarro today. So a bit of, I can't even say a surprise there because it was a shock that Krejcikova won last year. But either way, nice win by Navarro in 3 there. You ended up seeing Bencic win in 3. Besides that, you saw Osaka and Raducanu lose again. What else is new? If you're betting on either of them in Grand Slams, you really hate money because you're not going to win me if you bet on them in Grand Slams. Raducanu tried her best. She had a decent chance of winning the first set against Sabalenka. Was up a break into the second set, fell apart. But either way, Raducanu and Osaka keep getting a ton of support, a ton of coverage, and they constantly underachieve. So not really a shock there. Raducanu, I'll give a pass to because she had Sabalenka at least in her section. Not her fault. Osaka had a good draw as well. She ended up losing in 3. Yeah, I don't really have any faith in Osaka at all, and that's, I feel like, not a hot take, but people still try to convince me and convince themselves that Osaka's still worth a damn. She's not. So you can kind of try to make cases for her all you want to. I'm rooting for you. I'm not betting her. But either way, Osaka, I said in the preview episode, had a great draw, and I could not care less. I avoided her, and next thing you know, she lost again. What else is new? Now, for the actual women's quarters, to be honest, not great at all. For the first quarter, we do have Sabalenka, which is still alive. We have Vondrosova, though, and Svitolina, which both lost, but Sabalenka is still here at plus 115. Second quarter, we swung and a miss. We had Paolini, and we also had Schneider. Went for some long shots, didn't work out into the second quarter. Third quarter, we do have Alexandrova at 8-1, so we actually have a long shot left in the third quarter. And the fourth quarter, Rybakina, whatever the hell that was today against Towson, ended up losing. So either way, ended up kind of missing there for the quarters. But Alexandrova can help cash a pretty big price for us at 8-1, and you're looking at us potentially winning a 2 out of 4 in the quarters if Sabalenka does win the first quarter as well. For the outrights, didn't work out. Went for glory because Wimbledon on the women's side is unpredictable every year. Took Rybakina, who lost today. Pegula, who lost in the first round, and Svitolina, who lost yesterday. Great match by Mertens, though. I can't really be mad at Svitolina. Felt like Mertens didn't miss a shot for 2 hours. I thought Svitolina played pretty well, but Mertens was just a bit too good for her. But either way, not the best episode for the women's outrights. Went for a bolder approach because of the history and how unpredictable the event has been. But either way, we could still win some quarters. Hopefully, Alexandrova cashes the 8-1 for us. And hopefully, once again, we end up making some money in the future markets moving forward on the men's and the women's side. Anyway, time to move on to the actual matches. They're going to be taking place on Saturday and on Sunday and Monday. Before we get into the actual breakdown of the matches, a reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is Circa, because they're also hosting the Circa Millions Circa Survivor contest. Think you know ball, you can prove it. Enter the football contest with Circa. $21 million in guarantee prize. No rake if the entries go above the guarantee. All the extra money will go to the prize pool. Circa Millions, the way it works, pick 5 teams ATS each week, or go for the ultimate sweat, Circa Survivor, also a Circa Grandissimo Survivor, a 100K entry Survivor contest. Must register in person at Circa Sportsbook in Las Vegas. And a reminder, sign up in Vegas and play from anywhere with the help of SGPN's official proxy. Go to footballcontest.com. Use the code SGP to get $50 off your proxy fees. We're also brought to you by MyBookie, because they're available a ton of locations. Use crypto for deposits and fast payouts. A reminder, you can also use it to bet on WNBA, bet on baseball, bet on Wimbledon, bet on golf, you name it. They're also available in, once again, a ton of locations. And you can also use the promo code SGPN when you sign up to get 100% off the match up to 1K. Terms and conditions apply with the G promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Scam Podcast. Went through the recap of what happened in the third round. Time to move on into the fourth round here in Wimbledon. So moving on to the fourth round here. Should be a fun one. Starting off with the first collection of matches here on Sunday. First, we're going to talk about a matchup between Fritz and Thompson. Now, for this one, Fritz is a massive favorite. You could argue bigger than you'd expect, but to be honest, he is ranked in the top 15, and Thompson is not, so not a surprise. Fritz is minus 670. Feels a bit steep, though. You could argue maybe minus 400, minus 500 sounds right, but still, he would be a massive favorite regardless. Now, Thompson plus 450, the spread minus 5.5. And for the over-under, I see 37.5 games. For the head-to-head, faced off a couple times, and it has been competitive to some degree. Thompson did beat Fritz in the grass meeting last year. Faced off in London, and Thompson did win 6-4, 6-3. Dominated, so we'll see how this grass meeting goes. The first two meetings, Fritz did win. One was competitive, though. Beat him in Acapulco 2017 in 3. 2017, though, very dated. You can kind of toss it out. Faced off in D.C. in 2023, and Fritz did win that one in straight sets, 6-3, 6-3. So I do think for the actual path so far, Fritz has been really good. Did drop a set to Fokina. Shout out to him, because we needed that for the dog to cash. But Fritz has been looking really good. Now, he had a couple of close calls, beating Perricard in 5 and beating Diallo in 5. Perricard, though, is a dangerous server, most dangerous server on tour. That makes sense. You're looking at Diallo being a good grass player, won a grass title a couple weeks ago. So Fritz had a really tough path, made it through, beat Fokina, though, in what should have been 3 sets, but in 4. For Thompson, he's been good as well. He had a close call in the first 2 rounds, beating Capriva in 5 and beating Bonzi in 5. Then beat Darderi in 4. He's also in doubles with Herbert, so a lot of overall tennis for a guy that's allegedly injured, so keep that in mind. I think Fritz should win. The question is, do I think he wins comfortably, or do I want to go with the over? Because if I am picking a potential four-setter, I'll go with the over because it's at 37.5. And you're probably looking at what should be either a breaker in there or a bunch of 6-4s because both guys can serve pretty well. I like the over in this one. I think you're looking at what should be at least one close set. The over 3.5 sets is minus 134. I'm kind of intrigued by that. I do think that Thompson can definitely win a set. And I do think that, once again, with 37.5, in theory, you don't even need 4 sets. You could actually win if you end up getting a couple breakers and you end up getting a 7-5, for example. Couple ways to get there in theory. But I do think, for the sake of this actual matchup, I'm going to give Thompson some, I'd say, respect. I do think Fritz is going to win. Do I think he dominates? Not really. I think Thompson's good enough on grass to frustrate Fritz. He'll shorten points to come to the net, and I do think that can work to his benefit. Fritz should win, but I see Fritz fumbling a set. He has in every round so far in the tournament. So why would I assume he's not going to in the 4th match here in the event for him? So give me Fritz to win in 4 if I had to go for an exact outcome here. If you want to go for Fritz to win and both players want to set the repeat of our dog play, you can do that as well. I'm looking at the best price available for that prop. You can find that prop available at around, pulling it up right now. You can find that at plus 134. I like it. I think Thompson wins a set and then loses in 4. That's my thoughts for that one. I see a question for Fritz and Thompson by Rex asking if he thinks that there's some value on the under after tiebreak at plus 195. I don't mind it per se. I mean, Fritz has actually been turning pretty well so far in the event, but I think there will be a breaker. But plus 195, I think you could argue that price is actually pretty large. I would probably have the under probably closer to like plus 150, give or take. I think 195 has some value. There might be a breaker in there, but if you want to swing for it, I don't mind the swing. I'll put it that way. But I'll stay away from that prop personally. I see Gojo disagreeing, though, about Fritz. Fritz is scary at 3-0, but he feels like Thompson won't take a set. Maybe Thompson has taken a set off him, 1 straight sets in grass, though, last year. So you could argue that Thompson does have a certain familiarity on grass that can frustrate Fritz over the course of a set. Fritz, though, seems to mentally check out for about 10 minutes in each match. And that could be enough for Thompson to steal one. For value, I'll go with the over in the match. I think Fritz still wins, but either way, it's my thoughts on that one. Moving on to the next matchup we're going to talk about. You have a matchup between Jari and Nori. Not the matchup we expected here in the 4th round. And for this one, Nori's a slight favorite of about minus 120. Jari's about minus 107. For the spread, minus 1.5 for Nori, plus 1.5 for Jari. The over-unders at 41.5. Now, it's pretty fitting these guys are against each other because they play in completely opposite ways. Nori is a rallier, does not have a good serve at all, and Jari serves bombs, bunch of errors, and we'll see what happens here. Faced off twice, though. No meetings within the last 6 years, basically. Faced off in Miami, 2018. Jari won in straight sets. Faced off in Rome, 2019 on clay. Nori won in 3. Do I care? No. Long time ago, not on grass. Who cares? Now, for Jari, he had a very solid run through qualifying. Did not drop a set. Beat Rune in 5, his first ever 5th set win before. Beat Tien in straight sets and beat Fonseca in 4. For Nori, though, he had a very nice draw in the last round as Bellucci. I know it can be dangerous. There's supposed to be Leheshka, but either way, Nori coasted to a nice, easy win. Beat Tiafo and beat Agut. 2 similar players stylistically. You'd argue all 3 of them are similar stylistically, except Bellucci is a lefty. But Jari is a very unique challenge. Very tall, massive serves. Will try to shorten points. Nori will do the opposite. Will try to extend points, try to use the home crowd advantage to outlast Jari, and you're hoping that he can get the job done in this one, or at least he is. Now, for the value itself, I do think that Nori should be the favorite because he has made a semi before here. He's also, of course, getting crowd support. Jari, though, is dangerous. I think Jari can easily win a set by not breaking because the serve is so good. If you want to go for a Nori team total, I don't mind that. I mean, the over 3.5 sets is minus 240, and you're assuming Nori should hold serve more often than not because Jari is not a good returner at all. I think I'll make the case for Nori. I don't feel great about it, but I might run back the play I said before, which is the favorite to win, both players to win a set. If you want to go for that approach, you can find Nori and both players to win a set at around, that's about plus 182. I like the price on that one. So I'll go with that as my main thought. Give me Nori to win and both players to win a set at around plus 184, or plus 182 as my thoughts for that one. Moving on to the next matchup, you have Rublev against Alcaraz. For this one, Alcaraz massive favorite. No surprise, he's about minus 1,000, give or take. For Rublev, I see about 650. For the spread, minus 6.5 for Alcaraz, plus 6.5 for Rublev, and the over-under is about 34.5. Now, for the Path players, Alcaraz once again has been fine, not dominant, but fine. So either way, he had a marathon against Fognini in the first round. Since then, it's been easier than that, but still not ideal. Did end up beating a relative unknown in Tarvit in the second round and beat Struff in 4 in the third round. For Rublev, though, he's been coasting. Beat De Gere in 4, beat Harrison 4, and then beat Manarino in a very easy straight set win there. So Rublev's been looking fine so far in the event. Now, for the head-to-head, Alcaraz has been good against them, but Rublev has actually split 2 of the 4 meetings. They did face off, though, in a couple meetings last year, and they split. Rublev beat him in Madrid on clay in 3. Face off, though, in the ATP Finals, and Alcaraz won in straight sets. So the head-to-head's been close, but no meetings on grass. Alcaraz has been pretty up and down. Rublev's been fine, but you know that he's a head case who tends to hit a wall when facing elite competition. The question is, I want to actually lay this with Alcaraz, who's been fumbling sets left and right. Not really. I think 34.5 is a weird total, because I think you're expecting probably one breaker in the potential 3-set match. So I don't see any value on the over in this one. I think it's under or pass. If you're going for Alcaraz to win, that's how you kind of take the juice out of the equation at minus 1,000. You pick Alcaraz to win somewhat comfortably. You could afford a breaker in there, and you still win. So that's an option there. Having said that, do I think 6.5 is a fair spread for these two? Probably. I mean, they faced off in the ATP Finals last year, and that ended 7-6. That ended 6-3, 7-6. That wasn't hardcore, but the point is Rublev can't compete with Alcaraz. We've seen it before. I think Alcaraz wins. Do I think he wins easily? Not really. I think Alcaraz has one close set in there, maybe a breaker in there. I don't mind that too. I think Rublev can win a set, though. He did call Struff to win 1. I think Alcaraz can win a set 2. Rublev to win ace sets about +1 is about a minus 110. I don't mind that. The over half a breaker, though, is minus 134. That I don't mind. I see a breaker in this one. I'll go with the breaker, and I'll go with the Rublev plus 2.5 sets as my thoughts for this one. Moving on to the matches taking place on Monday. So for this one, you have starting off with Shelton against Sonego. Now, it's actually a rematch of the Australian Open match, which Shelton did win, which was a very fun matchup, but Shelton got the job done. Now, for the actual prices, Shelton's big favorite, minus 330. Sonego's plus 245. For the spread, minus 4.5 for Shelton, plus 4.5 for Sonego, and the over-under's at 40.5. The head-to-head, said before, face-off in the French Open of this past year, and you saw Shelton win in 5. Face-off also in the Aussie Open, and Shelton won in 4. So Sonego just can't escape this guy in the Grand Slams. But either way, Shelton has been able to outlast Sonego in both Grand Slams. The thing is, though, Sonego's been very good, but he had a marathon against Nakashima in the last round as his match went over 5 hours, as you saw a bunch of breakers in there. Shelton, though, coasted because he was able to dominate against Fucsovic, so definite advantage here for Shelton based on rest and a lack of time on court by comparison. Now, I do think Shelton can be vulnerable at times, and Sonego, I think, has the variety and the firepower to make it difficult for Shelton to actually coast to a nice, easy win. The thing is, Shelton has beaten him on hard court and on clay, and Shelton's not a great clay player. So I know that Shelton can definitely handle the environment here on grass and beat Sonego. I do think, though, using the Aussie Open match as a comparison, you saw a breaker in there and a 7-5. I like the over in this one. I think it goes at least 4 sets. I think you see at least one breaker in there. Give me the over 40.5. I think it's a close matchup. I think it's a war, but I am going to go with Shelton to outlast Sonego. I think he runs out of gas in the 4th and 5th set, potentially. Give me Shelton and Sonego over 40.5, but I will go with Shelton to win as well for that one. So if you want to go back to the bread and butter, go back to Shelton to win, both players to win a set. Back the results of both Grand Slams so far in the head-to-head meetings, and you can find that price at a pretty decent number, actually. Shelton to win and both players to win a set, which is available at around plus 124. I don't mind that. I'll go with that as my thoughts for this one. Moving on to the next matchup, going to look at the matchup between, where do I want to go next? We will go with Sinner against Dimitrov. Now, Dimitrov looked very good against Offner in the last round. Sinner had a bye because he was against the guy who couldn't serve. He's minus 2,000. Dimitrov's plus 1050, basically. For the spread, minus 7.5 for Shelton, plus 7.5 for Dimitrov, and the over-unders at 32.5. Now, for the head-to-head meetings, they faced off before in the French Open last year, and Sinner killed him in straight sets. Fits in Miami. Sinner won in straight sets. That was the title match in Miami. He coasted Beijing. Sinner won in 3. Sinner also won in Miami 2023, and Dimitrov won the first meeting in Rome 2020 in 3. So every meeting within the last 2 years, Sinner has won, only dropping 1 set out of the 9 sets. So it has been very lopsided. Now, Sinner, I said before, has had an easy path, beating Nardi, beating Vukic, and beating Martinez in the 3 rounds of not dropping serve and not dropping a set. For Dimitrov, he has dropped 1 set so far, beat Nishioka in straight sets, beat Mutet, nice win there, competitive 4 sets, and beat Offner in 3. So, look, I think Sinner's going to win, obviously. Question is, will Dimitrov make it competitive? I think he'll make at least 1 set competitive. Sinner, you could argue, was taking his foot off the gas because he was against an injured opponent. He felt bad. But I thought Sinner looked a little bit out of sorts to some degree, in that second set especially. He did win the 2 of the 3 sets 6-1. The unforced errors, though, were alarming, and Dimitrov, I think, can make it difficult for Sinner. But I do think the slice will play well here on grass. Sinner might ramp up the level against a good opponent here. But I think Dimitrov can actually hang in there. I think that this is going to be a closer match than expected. I think Sinner does win. I don't mind the games, though, at 7.5. Sinner could win a very straightforward match, 6-4, 6-4, 6-3. Straightforward, Sinner wins, never in doubt, 7 games. That means Dimitrov's still covered. So I do think that 7.5 feels pretty high. I think that there's a couple ways to get there. Dimitrov wins a set, you feel like you're in good shape. Give me Dimitrov, actually, plus the 7.5. Think Sinner wins, but it's a lot of games against a pretty, in my opinion, disrespected opponent here. And Dimitrov has looked good despite being injured the entire season. He dropped 1 set, killed Offner, and he beat Mutet, which is a good win there. Give Dimitrov plus 7.5 games in what should be a loss to Sinner, but I do think Dimitrov has some value for the sets, for the actual game spread for this one. Moving on to the last match we're going to talk about, we're going to look at the matchup between Cilic and Caboli. Once again, a matchup you didn't expect to see in the 4th round. Now, Cilic has been serving bombs in the event so far, and he's about minus 110, give or take. Caboli, same price, so joint, I'd say split line here, but you are looking at what should be a fun matchup. Now, looking at the actual over-under, 39.5 games. You're looking at some juice to the over, though, as it's minus 121. The under is minus 107. Now, for the head-to-head, faced off 2 times. Caboli beat him in the French Open this year, actually, in straight sets. Beat him Newmug on clay in 2023. Now, Cilic has been playing well. Ended up beating Calignon, ended up beating Draper in 4, and beat Munar in 4. Caboli, though, has been rolling so far in the event, not dropping a set yet. Beat a relative unknown in the first round in Zukayev in straight sets, beat Pennington Jones in straight sets, and beat Mensik easily in straight sets. Now, I know it's not a fair comp because Cilic is much more comfortable on grass than Mensik. You can argue similar type of opponent, big serve, big forehand, but Mensik, of course, has been in worse form on grass. The argument, though, is that Caboli coasting against Mensik might actually be a good omen for him against Cilic. I think everyone's going to pick Cilic in this one because he's better on grass, former finalist, and of course it's a fun story because he has been injured constantly, won a title at the end of last year, got injured again, and he's been working the comeback trail in the challengers. He's been great. I'm aware of it. Having said that, I think I am going to go Caboli in this one. He has not dropped a set yet. I think that his game can give Cilic problems. Cilic was able to win against Munar. There were a couple of really dicey service games, and I felt like it was a lot of, I'd say, wasted opportunities for Munar, who just kept blowing opportunity in a lot of service games. To mention the actual stats for the matchup against Munar by comparison, by the way. So Cilic, I said before, 1 in 4. However, Cilic did have to face the same amount of break points that Munar did, and Munar only broke twice out of 8 attempts. Now, Cilic only won 73% of his second serve points. So first serve percentage could be massive in this matchup, but for the actual value, I think I am going to go with Caboli here. I think Caboli's been good. I think Cilic might run out of gas if it goes to 4 or 5 sets. Probably 5 in theory. I don't mind the over, but I think Caboli can be very dangerous. I think I am going to go with him for this one. I love Cilic. I'm rooting for him, but I do think you're looking at a spot where Caboli should make life difficult for the older player. I think there's value in this spot. And that's going to wrap it up, though, for the actual matches. I'll move on into the lock and lock picks. One of that, the reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, which is, of course, once again, Underdog Fantasy. Because they were doing Best Ball Mania, which is happening all summer long, giving away $15 million in prizes, winning $2 million for first place. No waiver wire, no arguments, just trades. No arguments about trades. Best Ball is the best way to play fantasy football. It's also a great place to play Pick'em if you want to try Underdog. When you sign up for your account, use code SGPN. You get a special pick and every time offer up to $1K in bonus cash. A fantasy promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm because they have power trends now, game-changing feature, edit the patterns. Rhythm's models will tell you which props to bet on. They have a high ROI as well. Power trends are updated every day. They're exclusive to Rhythm, and you can also use them for clean data back picks. Download the app, check out power trends, start betting smarter. And also a reminder, you try the platform for a week for free by using the link. Go to sportsgaming.com/rhythm to get your 7-day free trial. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finished going through the matches for the fourth round. Time to move on into the lock and dog picks. I did skip 2 matches intentionally because I was going to save them for the end of the show. Skipped the Djokovic match against de Minaur, and I skipped the Khachanov match against Majic. For the lock, I'm going to go de Minaur team total under 17.5 at -113. Djokovic has been amazing the last 2 rounds especially, and he has been dominant. Now, de Minaur has been good too. However, he's faced nobody in the event. Beat Baena, beat Kaza, and beat Holmgren. So once again, a very favorable draw for de Minaur. Joker's draw has been easy as well, but at least Kecmanovic and Evans are, I'd say, relatively well-known players. Baena is known as a clay specialist. We know that Evans can be dangerous on grass with the slice. Joker killed him, and Kecmanovic has been a decent grass player, not amazing, but he's got a decent serve, which can translate well to grass. But for the sake of comparing the actual paths, I think we'd agree that Joker's path has been harder than de Minaur's, and you're looking at Joker being arguably the best Wimbledon player of all time. So he's comfortable in the courts here on grass. He's also owned the head-to-head. They've had 7 career sets. De Minaur's never won one of them. Djokovic has won 7 career sets. So you're looking at Joker, who's owned the head-to-head. He kills de Minaur every time they play against each other. And you're looking at de Minaur's team total being very high at 17.5. Now, if you want to actually play devil's advocate, and you're picking de Minaur to win a set, let's say a 6-4, de Minaur wins a set. You're not dead. You do need Joker to win 3 sets while dropping less than 12 games, which is reasonable. That's not that bad. You can get a 6-4, 6-4, and a 6-3 with de Minaur winning a set, and he still lands at 17. I think 17.5 is too high. Joker can get there in straight sets. He could get there in 4, and if it's a lopsided for at least one of the sets, you're in good shape. But de Minaur team total does feel kind of high. For a guy that has owned him his entire career, I think de Minaur is going to lose. I think we all do. But give me de Minaur team total under as my lock here for the actual show. And for the dog, I'm going to go to the matchup between Khachanov and Majic. Give me Majic plus 3.5 games at plus 100. Don't mind the money line at plus 215, but instead I'll give myself some insurance in case of a marathon. Each Khachanov, the last 2 matches have gone to 5 sets. He has not had a good go of it. Should have lost the board just down 5-2 in the 5th set. He also should have lost the first set to Mochizuki, who choked the breaker away, and then eventually did come back, and he won in 5 sets. But still, Khachanov has had a pretty decent path so far, not too bad, and yet he still made it very stressful, going to 5 sets in 2 straight. Majic, though, has been coasting by comparison. Also, Khachanov not covered the spread in each of the 2 meetings that went to 5 sets. Majic, though, has won 7 straight sets. He has been rolling. And unlike Khachanov, he has not spent much time on court, which is a big deal at the stage in the event. Now, for the actual path so far, Majic was able to outlast Berrettini in the first round in 5, beat Quinn in 3, and beat Rinderknech in 3. Easy path, but I should say, I don't know if it's that easy, actually, because Rinderknech did beat Zverev. A good spot, though, to fade Rinderknech off the marathon win against Garin. So the point is, decent path for Majic. But either way, winning back-to-back straight set matches is definitely beneficial when you're against a guy who's gone to back-to-back 5-setters. Plus, they faced off before, and they faced off on grass actually 3 years ago. It was a war. They faced off in 2022 on grass. Khachanov did win in 3, but every set did have at least 12 games. It was a war. Majic was actually serving for the match in that 3rd set, and he choked. So Majic could have easily won that first grass meeting. But simply put, Khachanov laying 3.5, I'm not sold on. Having wars against Borges, wars against, once again, a relatively weaker opponent in Mochizuki in the, once again, 2nd round. It just feels like Khachanov been surviving, but not thriving. And Majic looks really good. I think that the head-to-head suggests that Majic can keep this competitive. I think he will keep it competitive. Khachanov might win in 5 or even 4. If there's a lopsided set in there, then he might cover the spread anyway. But I don't trust Khachanov laying this big of a number when he's had a couple of heart attack-inducing matches. And he probably shouldn't be here after Borges choked away a 5-2 lead into the 5th. Give me the dog here for value. I'm going to go with the actual spread here instead I'll go with my chick plus the games as my dog. So once again, the plays here for the lock and dog. The lock's going to be on Dimonauer team total under 17.5 games against Djokovic at -113. For the dog, I'm going to go with my chick plus 3.5 games at +100. It's going to wrap it up for the show. Back once again for the quarterfinals in a couple days on the men's side. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.